Hi, I'm John Stewart, Chief Investment Officer of Farmers Trust Company. This is the Investor's Edge.
The Investor's Edge, Market Insights with John Stewart, is brought to you by Farmers Trust Company.
Hi, I'm John Stewart. Welcome to the Investor's Edge. First up, the week in review. Markets stabilize. Well, the Fed did not sink markets with their recent rate hike, and so far, neither have the recent bank failures. I did mention a couple weeks ago on the Investor's Edge that there was a narrow window for the Fed to thread the needle and for the stock market to rally. It seems that for the time being anyway, they seem to have done just that. And investors who placed bearish bets are now being forced to unwind those positions, which is adding fuel to the market rally. It's important not to get too complacent, though, given that a lot of the trends that have driven market volatility are actually still in place. It'll take time for the tightening in credit conditions that are now stemming from the recent banking turmoil to work their way through the system into the real economy. Now, we'll begin to see what companies are expecting the next several months and over the next couple of quarters in terms of what their businesses forecast when they start reporting first quarter earnings here in a couple of weeks. If earnings expectations deteriorate, we are likely to experience more market volatility ahead. For this week's featured insight, diversification is more than just stocks and bonds. I talk a lot about the merits of diversifying your investments, but I don't often explain what that actually means. Diversification is a lot more than just getting your mix of stocks and bonds right. You also need to ensure that within those categories that you own investments that have differentiated risk and return characteristics, that behave differently based on where we are in the economic cycle, and that provide appropriate exposure around the world, not just in the US. So that means owning securities from different sectors of the economy, businesses that are at different points in their life cycle, and companies of varying sizes, both large and small. Now, your fixed income securities or bonds should be similarly diversified, but they also need to vary in terms of their maturity length. Having regularly occurring bond maturities helps to provide liquidity to your portfolio in case you need to draw on your funds. And that's especially true if it coincides with a market downturn, in which case you'd likely prefer to hold onto your equity investments until market conditions improve. Looking ahead, interest rate cuts on the horizon? So 2 weeks ago, I spoke about the likelihood the Fed would raise its key interest rate target by an additional 0.25%. Indeed, the central bank did in fact do just that. Nevertheless, futures markets are now not only predicting that the Fed will soon be done hiking rates any further, but that they may be forced to actually do an about-face and actually start cutting rates as early as June. These futures contracts imply there could be as much as a full percentage point in rate cuts by this time next year. Now, that seems implausible given the rate hiking dynamic over the last 12 months. Think back to 1 year ago, though. At that time, did anyone, including the Fed themselves or the collective wisdom of market participants, think they would go from 0% interest rates to 5% in one short year? Certainly unlikely. Now, it's important to keep in mind that anything is possible, and there are always surprises in markets. So for the sake of investors, let's hope the predictions of the rate cuts in the near future are wrong, because that would likely occur only in the event of a more significant economic and market deterioration. But since that is certainly a possibility, it's important to stay diversified and keep a long-term perspective to avoid getting sucked into the short-term emotions of fear and greed. Once again, I'm John Stewart. Thank you for watching The Investor's Edge.
The Investor's Edge, Market Insights with John Stewart, is brought to you by Farmers Trust Company.